Medieval India, page number 222, Religious Ideas and Beliefs and Problems of Integration. The Bhakti movement continued apace during the 16th and 17th centuries. Amongst the new movements was the Sikh movement in the Punjab and what is called the Maharashtra Dharma in Maharashtra. The Sikh movement had its origin with the preachings of Nanak, but its development is closely linked with the institution of Guruship. The first four Gurus continued the tradition of quiet meditation and scholarship. The fifth Guru, Arjan Das, completed the compilation of the Sikh scriptures called Adi Granth or Granth Sahib. To emphasize that the Guru combined both spiritual and worldly leadership in his person, he began to live in an aristocratic style. He erected lofty buildings at Amritsar, wore fine clothes and kept fine horses procured from Central Asia, and maintained retainers in the attendance. He also started a system of collecting offerings from the Sikhs at the rate of 1/10 of their income. Akbar had been deeply impressed with the Sikh Gurus and, it is said, visited them at the Amritsar. However, a clash began with the imprisonment and death of Guru Arjan by Jahangir on the charge of helping rebel prince Khusrau with money and prayers. His successor, Guru Hargobind, was also imprisoned for some time, but he was soon set free and developed good relations with Jahangir and accompanied him in his journey to Kashmir just before his death. But he came into clash with Shah Jahan on a hunting incident. While the emperor was hunting near Amritsar, one of his favorite hawks flew into Guru's camp, and his refusal to give it up led to a series of clashes. However, the matter was hushed up at the intervention of some well-wishers at the court. A second conflict took place a little later when Guru's attempt to build a new city on the river Beas near Jalandhar was objected to. A third conflict took place when two horses of surpassing beauty and swiftness, being brought to Guru from Central Asia, were seized by the royal officials. A notorious robber, Bidhi Chand, stole these horses and presented them to the Guru. By this time, the Guru had a sizable following, and in the series of skirmishes, the Guru acquired himself well. The Guru was supported for some time by a Pathan, Penda Khan. Ultimately, Guru Hargobind retired to Punjab foothills and was not interfered with. All these conflicts were of an inconsequential nature and can be ascribed to personal and political factors rather than religion. The Gurus assuming a rich lifestyle and being called a Sacha Padshah or true sovereign by his followers does not seem to have been a cause of concern to the rulers, because some of the Sufi saints led a rich lifestyle and were given similar titles by their followers to emphasize their spiritual eminence. There was no atmosphere of confrontation between the Sikhs and the Mughal rulers during this period, nor was there any systematic persecution of the Hindus, and hence no occasion for the Sikhs or any groups or sect to stand forth on the champion of the Hindus against religious persecution. Despite some display of orthodoxy by Shah Jahan at the beginning of his reign and a few acts of intolerance, such as the demolition of new temples, he was not narrow in his outlook, which was further tempered towards at the end of his reign by the influence of his liberal son Dara. Dara, the eldest son of Shah Jahan, was by temperament a scholar and a Sufi who loved discourse with religious divines. With the help of Brahmins of Kashi, he got the Gita translated into Persian. But his most significant work was Anthology of the Vedas, in the introduction to which Dara declared the Vedas to be heavenly books in the point of time and in conformity with the Holy Quran, thus underlying the belief that there was no fundamental differences between Hinduism and Islam. Another saint, Dadu, born in Gujarat but who seemed to have lived mostly in Rajasthan, preached a non-sectarian Nipak Path. He refused to identify himself with either the Hindus or the Muslims, or to bother with the revealed scriptures of the two, asserting the indivisibility of the Brahma, or the supreme reality. The same liberal trend can be seen in the life and works of Tukaram, the supreme exponent of Bhakti in Maharashtra at Pandharpur, which had become the center of Maharashtra Dharma, where worship of Vithoba, a form of Vishnu, had become popular. Tukaram, who states that he was born a Shudra, used to do puja to the god with his own hand. It was not to be expected that such ideas and practices would be easily accepted or by the orthodox elements beginning to the two leading faiths, Hinduism or Islam, and thus gave up the entrenched positions of power and influence which they had enjoyed for a long time. The sentiments of the orthodox Hindus were echoed by Raghu Nandan of Navadip, Nadia, in Bengal. Considered to be the most influential writer on Dharma Shastras during the medieval period, Raghunandan asserted the privileges of the Brahmins, stating that none other except the Brahmins had the right to read the scriptures or to preach. He ends up by saying that in the Kali age there were only two Varnas, the Brahmins and the Shudras. The two Kshatriyas have disappeared long ago, and the Vaishyas and other having lost their caste status due to non-performance of appropriate duties. Ramdas of Maharashtra, while putting forward a philosophy of activism, was equally vehement in asserting the privileges of the Brahmins. Along the Muslims too, while trend of Tawheed continued apace and was supported by many leading Sufi saints, a small group of orthodox ulmas reacted against it and the liberal policies of Akbar. The most renowned figure in the Muslim Orthodox and revivalist movement of the time was Sheikh Ahmad Srihindi, a follower of the Orthodox Naqshbandi school of Sufis which had been introduced in India during Akbar's reign. Sheikh Ahmad Srihindi opposed the concept of pantheistic mysticism, Tawheed, or the belief in the unity of Godhead, denouncing it to un-Islamic. He also opposed all those practices and beliefs which were due to the influence of Hinduism, such as the use of music in religious gatherings, sama, excessive meditation, visiting tombs of saints, etc. In order to assert the Islamic character of the state, he demanded the reimposition of jizya, a stern attitude towards the Hindu and a minimum association with them by Muslims. In order to implement this program, he started centers and also wrote letters to the emperor to many nobles to win them over to his side. However, the ideas of Sheikh Ahmad had little impact. Jahangir imprisoned him for claiming a status beyond that of prophet and only released him after his retraction. Nor did Aurangzeb pay any special attention to his son and successor. It will thus be seen that the influence of the orthodox thinkers and preachers was limited, being necessarily confined to narrow circles. Their chief hope was that their ideas would receive the support and backing of those who held positions of wealth and power in society and the state. On the other hand, the liberal thinkers made their appeal to the broad masses. The recurrent cycles of liberalism and orthodoxy in Indian history should be seen against the situation which was rooted in the structure of Indian society. It was one aspect of the struggle between entrenched privilege and power on one hand, and the egalitarian and humanistic aspirations of the mass of the people on the other. The prestige and influence of the narrow, orthodox elements and their reassertion of narrow ideas and beliefs was a barrier to the growing process of rapprochement and tolerance among the votaries of the two dominant religions, Hinduism and Islam, and a hindrance to the process of cultural integration. The clash between the two trends came to surface during Aurangzeb's reign. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This was the end of chapter number 17, Cultural and Religious Developments for Medieval Indian NCERT. In the next part, we'll start with chapter number 18, that is the Climax and Disintegration of the Mughal Empire, part 1. Thank you, all the best. Do share and subscribe the channel and keep supporting us. Thank you everyone.